Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Ng. Joyce, it's time for the Oscars again. Tensions, to say nothing of limousines, have been stretched beyond endurance. Another year, another night, with the fervent hope that the night doesn't take another year.
Big laugh.
It's the 1986 Oscars.
Who wrote that for Alan Alda?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Joyce, because I found this whole show pretty great, and I found the New York Times review of it. It was produced by Stanley Donen, which is like cool. But then in the review, it says, I suspect of the writers, all of whom are single, the streamlined feel of the show probably must go to the new presence of Mr. Donen, and even more, I suspect, of the new writers, all of whom are singularly accomplished in television comedy, including Glenn Gordon Caron from Moonlighting, Douglas Wynham from Family Ties, and Larry Gelbart from MASH. So I bet you Larry Gelbart wrote that one because it was Alan Alda talking.
Yeah, and then he does a nice intro for him later.
Yeah. It's the we're going to talk all about this Oscars race. I got to say, I was really unhappy with this year in film and the winners, but the show itself, some dated offensive material aside, very entertaining Oscars, and that felt like the best version of the Oscars that we've seen in this decade so far. That was my take.
So it's the show itself.
Yes.
It aired on March 24th, 1986. Beginning at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern, another 9 p.m. Eastern
love
show.
that.
It lasted 3 hours and 11 minutes.
Okay.
It's 1 minute longer than the previous years, but it was so much more fleet-footed.
Wow. I was shocked.
I don't know if it's because like in the YouTube playlist, they didn't have the red carpet footage.
So the YouTube playlist was shorter, certainly, but I agree. I was like, man, this is cooking. It felt just way more like a modern show. So like we've seen, so this is hosted by Alan Alda and Jane Fonda, and then Robin Williams comes in as like the second act.
They need the linguistic services of their co-host, Robin Williams.
So that's an auspicious beginning, I would say. They bring out Robin Williams to do offensive accents.
A lot of offensive accents.
Oh my God.
If you thought Gene Allen was bad the year before.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, man, everybody loves Robin Williams with good reason, but I'm glad people don't remember this opening of the Oscars because it is just brutal and everyone howling laughing.
You know, that was what was funny back then. That's what they considered humor back then. So
this aside, we'll talk about this, and obviously this is a fraught Oscars for a lot of other reasons, but I would say like, man, I was looking at this going into it. I was like, man, Alan Alda and Jane Fonda, that's going to be really lame. And then like Robin Williams will probably be good. No, it was great. They're great hosts. They totally get it. They're so good together. Very fleet of foot, like you said. And then Robin Williams comes in the second half and is very, very funny in between offensive accents, I would say, which I guess you could chalk up to the era.
Yeah. And I was thinking like when they were all hosting, you know, I mean, we've talked about this before, how they used to just have actors and movie stars host, right?
Yes.
I'm like, this will never happen today, you know?
No, but this was the first one where I was like, and we saw that the previous year it was a cavalcade of stars, right? Like with Jack
and they
Lemmon.
didn't want Amy Irving to do it because she was pregnant but unwed.
Right. So it was Amy Irving did it, and like Glenn Close, Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, with like Jack Lemmon as like the master of ceremonies, basically. And the year before, I think Johnny was doing it, and then the year before that, I think they did. It was Liza Minnelli, right, and that whole group, which was a disaster. This one, I was like, this is actually this is like the sweet spot of what this was, and it feels like honestly the most modern version that we've seen, I would say, so far of this show.
Yeah, I think like there's not a lot of like they had a Muppets bit, a runner throughout, which was fun.
Pretty good. Statler and Waldorf making fun of the whole thing. Yeah,
So,
it felt like that felt like legit like a Kimmel bit.
yeah. And I think like, you know, Alan and Jane were just good hosts. I mean, I think you would expect Robin to be good because he's a comedian, but you might question Alan and Jane more.
I didn't before watching it. I was like, what kind of chemistry are Alan Alda and Jane Fonda going to have? Because
Great chemistry.
The answer is great. Yes, it was great chemistry. They're fantastic together. And I was like, man, Alan Alda is so smooth. He's like a very smooth operator, and like Jane is so great. I thought she was like really like on it, and their banter was so great, and the writing is fantastic. And then when I read that it was written by like some of the greatest TV writers of the decade, I was like, no shit, actually, because it's like really well written. I thought like all of the banter is like snappy and punchy. It feels like TV writing more so than award show writing.
Yeah. Um, and it's funny because like you said, the show is so much better than like a lot of the winners that we
Yeah,
ended up having. So it's funny to compare it to 3 years prior when we had Gandhi dominating and we had the quartet of Liza Minnelli and Richard Pryor and Walter Matthau and Dudley Moore hosting, because that show felt interminable
yes.
and with like, more cringe bits than this one. And then it's also just, we're not the biggest Gandhi fans. So it was like a double whammy. Whereas like here, I'm not the biggest Out of Africa fan.
Yikes.
So it was like nice to have, a decent show.
I would say not even kidding. From what we've done so far and what we've done previously in our other seasons of Oscars, so like this is probably my least favorite set of winners across all the major categories that we've done. I think all of these are rough. Maybe
And,
Don Amici I'd be into, I guess, but I'm like, yikes.
and it's just like, it's like once again, there were, so I wouldn't say like 85 had a lot like the best films, but there are a lot of good films
So,
that were not nominated.
so there were a lot of good films that were not nominated. It's not the best year, and
No,
I'll
it's
read
not the best.
I'll read something from Wikipedia, Joyce, because while you did a lot of real research and like found a lot of great articles about this Oscars and read Inside Oscar, I read the Wikipedia page, so I've got something too to read. And there's something there, but just in terms of nominations, so Out of Africa had 11 nominations and 7 wins. The
Mhm.
Color Purple had 11 nominations and 0 wins.
Tying The Turning Point, Biggest Losers.
Uh, Prizzi's Honor, 8 nominations and 1 win. Witness, 8 nominations and 2 wins. Back to the Future, 4 nominations and 1 win in sound, which is a twist. I think if you ask people what Back to the Future won its Oscar for, they would not guess sound.
Well, I
Particularly,
mean, that also depends on like, do they know what it was nominated for?
well, that's the other funny thing, right? And it's not didn't win visual effects, which I think is funny. Kiss of the Spider Woman, 4 nominations and 1 win, and Ron, 4 nominations and no wins. So this is in the Wikipedia choice for the year in film. I guess we'll talk about the film before we go back to this, but this was considered an unsuccessful one for film.
Yeah.
Despite a number of film releases, many failed at the box office, and ticket sales were down 17% compared with 84. Industry executives believe part of the problem was a lack of original concepts. Films about fantasy and magic failed as audiences leaned towards science fiction. Janet Maslin said the fault of this lay partly with Steven Spielberg, who had created such a successful template with films like E.T. and Close Encounters that many fantasy films had imitated them. There were also a saturation of youth-oriented films targeting those under 18. Executives were not fond of those films, but the financial rewards were too significant to ignore. The few films that aimed at older audiences, like Cocoon, were surprise successes. Only Back to the Future and Rambo First Blood Part 2 were successful blockbusters, earning more than double the box office of Cocoon. Films offering escapism and pro-America themes, like Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Rocky 4, also fared well.
Sounds familiar. But imagine like Hollywood complaining about not enough original ideas today.
Wouldn't be them.
Yeah, so Back to the Future was the top grossing film of 1985.
Yes.
Number 2 was Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
Not a big Rambo First Blood Part 2 fan, Joyce.
Me either. Number 3, Rocky 4,
Seen that a lot.
legendary installment. Number 4, The Color Purple.
Yes.
Number 5, Best Picture winner, Out of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, Cocoon. 7, The Jewel of the Nile. 8, Witness. 9, The Goonies. And 10, Spies Like Us.
Some of these I really like still.
Yeah. So I've seen all of these. And I probably like Back to the Future, Witness the most. Like I like Rocky 4 and The Goonies, but I'm just, not like my fave.
So Back to the Future, I would say like legit, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. just straight up. So like this is like when we did Raiders like 81, like I'm like 80, 81. Raiders, just great. Can't go wrong. Back to the Future, one of the greatest movies of all time. Rocky 4, I think, is trash, but it's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Witness is actually very good. Just a solid movie. Really good.
Yeah, I love like just solid movies,
Yeah.
and I think it gets dunked on by, you know, some more like highbrow snobs.
Yeah, it's funny though, because it's actually not, we'll talk about this because I just watched this recently for us for this. And I was like, man, this is great because it's sold. If you watch the trailer and like even look at the poster, it seems like it's sold as some like trashy 80s cop movie, but it's really not about that. It
Mhm.
has that at the end, but it's way more about like Harrison Ford being Amish. The Goonies is a movie I obviously liked as a youth. Uh don't care that, I mean,
Yeah, I
not run and
haven't.
rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't return to that often.
Eh,
But you know, it was fun. I've
As a
seen it
kid, it was
multiple times.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know
Mhm.
people, I feel like nowadays people are like furious about it. Do you get that sense? Like they just hate it, especially people my age who are older.
I don't know. So, the creator of the Goldbergs, Adam
Hmm.
F. Goldberg,
Yeah.
this was like a touchstone film for him.
Oh, sure.
So when the show premiered in 2013, I talked to him about because they did like a Goonies episode, and he was explaining his love for the film and everything. So he was born in 76, so he was like right at that like age, perfect age
Right.
for that
So,
film.
yeah.
Yeah, and then so then he asked me, he was like, "What was that movie for you?" And I was like, "The Mighty Ducks."
Right. Of course.
Obviously.
Sure.
So then he told me that he wrote like he pitched a D4, like a spec script for it. And like there was like early talks or whatever, but then the Goldbergs got picked up, so that was backburnered and stuff. So he sent me that pitch that he made for
Oh,
D4.
cool. Maybe
Yeah,
we can
so
make that
I
together.
think like, you know, so like that's like his, you know, touchstone movie from his childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
what
don't
is the
know like
big,
how like youths like people discovering it now
I
would,
don't know. Would they even discover it now?
I don't know.
Kyu Kwan is great in it though.
Maybe after Everything Everywhere, people went back to
I
look
hope
at
so. He's
his
really good in
films.
it. He's really
Yeah.
good in it. Spies Like Us is another one I really like. Watched a lot as a kid. Still
Hmm.
good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, these like, I mean, I don't know, like Cocoon is like
So
fine.
Cocoon, you can't actually watch. I actually bought it. I didn't get to watch it yet. I have the DVD in the other room, but you can't. He's like out of print basically, and you can't watch it because
Well,
like the
so
rights.
had you not seen it before?
No, I've seen it before, but
Okay.
I haven't seen it in years. And
Yeah,
I
me
was like, I
either.
really do want to watch it.
Yeah, I saw this like ages ago, but I thought it was fine and
Totally
you
fine.
know,
I think the most memorable thing is the score. Now,
sure. Um, but yeah, I mean like this year was also big for the Brat Pack, obviously. Breakfast Club.
so this feels like a year. It kind of reminds. So obviously, 1999 is a much better year. Certainly, not going to pretend that this year is any good. But I'm like, it reminded me of that because there's so many movies. It's like a lot of like teen movies and like that. Like they're right. Like this is like an
Yeah,
all-time year
Breakfast
for,
Club, St. Elmo's Fire,
yes.
which is fitting because we have the Bratz documentary
Yeah, look
this
at
year.
us doing something. We're time. It's like
I know.
we're on the cusp of culture here,
Yeah.
Joyce. Here's what I wrote down these. I wrote for that Breakfast Club for sure, like an iconic movie, seen it a bunch. Just One of the Guys. I'm gonna put in this group. How many
Sure.
times have I seen that? 100 times?
I mean, you tell
On all,
me.
100 times. It was on HBO all the time. That's a classic. Uh, we mentioned the Goonies, St. Elmo's Fire, which I came to a little older because I felt like that was like more grown up when I was a
Oh,
youth.
so you resisted it until you were like a
Well, I
teenager.
just was like, I'm not gonna. The themes are not interesting to me. I'm more into Goonies. Uh, what else did I write down? Weird Science and Real Genius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always confused them when I was a kid because
Uh,
they were just like they sounded the same.
I think Real Genius is pretty great. I actually was rewatching. It was on like Tubi or something the other day, and I was watching some of it. I'm like, I like it. It's just good. It's just like so good. Great Val Kilmer and Weird Science, obviously like an all time classic. I can't imagine. I haven't watched that one. I have that on DVD as well. Joyce,
Of course you do.
haven't watched it in a long time. Uh, what else? I wrote? Better Off Dead,
Mm-hmm.
classic.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you on Savage Steve Holland? We'll do, I guess, One Crazy Summer coming up as well.
I don't really care either way. Like,
This is like one of my faves. I
of
just
course you
love
do.
it. Oh my God, so good. Great John Cusack. The creepy neighbor is played by Dan Schneider, which feels right. Uh, yeah, just a great film. Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, right? Curtis Armstrong.
Mhm.
Teen Wolf,
Yeah, also a big year for Michael J. Fox.
huge.
So, um, yeah, I mean, I like it. I've seen it.
Seen it a
I'm
lot.
also
Not
not
watched.
like a number one fan.
No, but seen it a lot.
Yeah.
What else did I write down of these like kind of youth oriented ones? Would you say like, it does like these aren't like in that vein, but I wrote them down like Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
So I'm not a big Pee Wee person, and I
Okay,
felt bad when he died, Paul Rubens,
sure.
because everyone, was remembering.
R.I.P.
And I was like,
Sure.
I was just never really into Pee Wee.
I was way into this movie though.
It's a good movie. I'm not like a big Pee Wee person.
The tequila dance, great.
Mhm.
Large Marge, terrifying, absolutely terrifying moment, burned in my brain, being
Of
very
course.
frightening. Uh, yeah, this is like all of these movies in the same year, and it's like none of these are what it's kind of like what we talked about like last week, I guess, with Ghostbusters and stuff. Like none of these ever would need to make to be Oscar nominees, but they're all classic movies that I think are more well remembered than Out of
Well,
Africa.
I mean, yeah, there's also Blood Simple, the
Yes.
Coens and Franny.
The real movies, I was like, Blood Simple is a really good one. Oh, another one
Yeah,
I wrote down was Mischief. Did you ever see that?
I have.
A sex farce that I
Mhm.
remember watching at sleepovers.
Yeah, there's also Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, also timely.
Classic, though not
Um,
very good.
I'm guessing you did not see this one, but One Magic Christmas. It's like an iconic Disney.
No. Wow. I never saw that one.
It's a Mary Steenburgen, and Harry Dean Stanton, and Elizabeth Harnois is in it, and she was recently on Pod Meets World, the Boy Meets World rewatch podcast, and they talked about this too, so it was great for me.
Wow.
I want once again, I forgot about this until I saw this in Wikipedia on the list of 1985 films. The Care Bears movie.
Mm.
Yeah, big
Not
for
a
me
big
when I was
fan.
a kid.
But we watched it. I think we watched it with my daughter recently because it's on Max. It was still streaming on Max.
Yeah, and I have a giant loves a lot bear. I think it's
Wow.
still in my parents' house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vintage.
Hmm.
Other ones I wrote down. Let's see. View to a Kill, the James Bond movie with Christopher Walken.
Sure.
Fantastic Christopher Walken. He's like more power. I'm trying. That's why I don't know how to do it
That's
anymore.
that's your walking.
That was it. Fletch.
Oh yeah, Fletch. Did you see the John Hamm one?
I did. I love the John Hamm one. I thought it was really good. They could have made a TV show out of that very easily, and like it would have been something I would have been very interested in seeing, or another movie. But it's like quite good.
Yeah,
Uh,
that got like buried. And
Completely annihilate. It doesn't exist.
yeah. Brewster's Millions.
Yeah, sure. A
Mhm.
movie that I think has lived on because of the concept.
Yeah.
Still hear people talk
Um, After Hours, obviously.
After Hours is very good. Very, very good movie. Uh, Another one I wrote down that's good, I guess, that again was overlooked at the time and now I think is like considered a true classic is To Live and Die in LA.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while.
It's great, but it's like in a movie. It's funny. I'd never seen that until like maybe within the last year because I just was like, it wasn't like I don't know. It felt like it even got buried then, like as an HBO. You know what I mean? It was just not around. I don't. It was not on as much as a lot of these other movies we're talking about. But it's great.
Um, Desperately Seeking Susan, Madonna.
Good one. Big year for Rosanna Arquette.
Yeah. What else is there? I feel like we talked about most of these.
Here's some more I wrote down. Silverado,
Oh yeah.
great. Summer Rental and Volunteers.
I've never seen that.
Summer Rental is John Candy and Kerry Green, who is also in the Goonies. So big year for her as well. And Volunteers is Tom Hanks, the movie he met Rita Wilson on, Joyce. Also John
Yes,
Candy
I
acting.
I, I know of that lore,
Yeah,
obviously. So,
it's good lore.
mhm,
The Arnold Schwarzenegger classic Commando,
of course.
just a freaking absolute masterpiece.
It's funny because I've seen so many Arnold movies of this era, and I just never go back. It's like because like my exposure to him was uh Kindergarten Cop and
Okay,
Terminator,
sure.
and then I just watched a lot of his movies from this era, and then I don't watch any of those again, really.
I,
Like I watched Twins a lot when I was a kid.
I probably watch all of them a lot. I would say this Commando, I watched probably 30 times between like 17 and like or 15 and like 20, and then have never seen it again. But it's hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. He's holding the guy over like the cliff. He's like, remember I said I'd kill you last? I lied. I mean, that's like great writing. You can't beat that.
Sure.
Uh couple of sequels, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and Police Academy 2.
Yeah,
We talked about the
I
Police
wrote that down
Academy.
too, but I don't really remember it.
How about
So
this one? Jim Carrey in Once Bitten.
I've never seen that.
Definitely saw it a lot actually, and that was like the first exposure I had to Jim Carrey, probably. Uh, we mentioned Jewel of the Nile, not as good as Romancing the Stone.
Of course not. So
Uh, I also wrote down King Solomon's Mines, which was like the the
mhm.
the red box. What we would say now is like the red box version of like Jewel of the Nile, because it's like Richard
Yeah.
Chamberlain, I think.
Yeah, it was Richard and Sharon Stone
Yeah,
and
it's like
John Rhys Davies.
yes, it's like
Yeah.
it's like a mix of like Jewel of the Nile and like Romancing Stone and Indiana
I
Jones.
remember the
Oh
poster
shit!
because it was like aping Indy's
Yes,
typeface.
complete shit. So funny. Enemy Mine. You ever see that one with Lou
No.
Gossett and Dennis Quaid?
Uh-huh.
Very upsetting. I thought the makeup on him was just too upsetting. A really freakish looking alien.
How about the makeup on Mask?
Uh, you know, not my fave either. Not going to watch Mask a lot.
Um, did you see White Knights?
I did see White Knights and obviously know it now. I was know it now more of the music, but I had not seen a long. Obviously, I didn't go
Oscar
back.
winner Lionel Richie.
I
See,
didn't go back to rewatch it, but I read the Wikipedia page, and I would say go read the Wikipedia page for White Knights and imagine a movie that just had. It's impossible to think that this is a real movie.
it's great. And obviously Taylor Hackford film.
Yes, where I think he met. Did he meet Helen on this movie or no? No.
Maybe I don't know,
Is Helen
but like
Mirren in this
I don't.
movie?
She's in it, but I don't
Oh,
know if this is where they
I think it is. I'm gonna look. Let my
Google
computer
how did
crash.
Taylor Hackford and Helen
Yeah,
Mirren meet.
I'm gonna let my computer crash and we'll talk. That we'll see. I think she's in it. Yeah. So yeah, not none of these. Oh, and European Vacation. I wrote down National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Yeah.
Like I think we talked
And
about this.
then I don't know. Oh, Clue, of course, Clue. How can I forget Clue?
Fantastic. How can you forget Clue?
How can I forget Clue? With
Still a great
its
movie.
multiple endings.
Still a great movie. Love all the endings. Love it so
Yeah,
much.
so I saw that on TV like later on when I was a kid, and I
Hmm.
loved it. So I had no idea about the multiple endings until I was older, and like I the internet existed and I could read about it, you know. So I just
Wait.
saw like that's how the what I saw when it aired was like
Yeah.
the movie, you know. So I didn't know about the other endings.
Oh, so I only saw it with the other endings. How is that possible?
Oh no, I mean I saw it with all the other endings, but I didn't know what they did
Oh,
theatrically,
yes,
where
yes.
like every theater had different endings.
Can
I
you
thought like what
imagine?
I saw on TV was
I
what
understand.
people saw in the theaters.
I understand now.
That's what I thought.
Imagine if that happened today.
I know. Well, so as remember the after party,
Yes, of course.
season one, fantastic.
Yes.
So
Is it coming back?
mm, so I talked to Lord and Miller about this, and you know they were inspired by Clue, and they also love Clue, and they did not want to do like any of that the multiple endings things because they were annoyed by that, you know.
Oh, I like the multiple endings. I always love that part of the movie. I mean, it should have all been one movie. Like they shouldn't have released it separately, but I think the way they did it was really clever and good.
Yeah, but I can't imagine like if you went to see Clue in 1985 and you got one ending and then your friend saw it in another state or just even down the road and they got another
It it's
ending.
also so stupid that they did it separately because I think the thing that makes it so fun is the way that whole sequence is edited. It's actually like
Yeah, yeah.
works so well together with all three of them
Mhm.
slammed into each other. It's so good. It's like a really well-made ending. So the
Yeah.
fact that they were like, We don't need to do this. It's so hilarious to me. Great film. Great Tim
Mhm.
Curry. Should have been an Oscar nominee.
I loved everyone that if the SAG Awards existed, ensemble nomination.
Absolutely. It's a great film. And directed by Jonathan Lynn Joyce, who ended up doing My Cousin Vinny. So he's always been a real fave for me because he's got two all-time classics. Anything else here of the movies? I guess we'll talk about some more, obviously, when we get to the Oscars.
I don't think so.
I mean, like, basically just looking at this, I'm like we said, like a lot of really solid,
Oh
watchable.
wait, did we mention the Purple Rose of Cairo? I know we did last week a
No,
lot.
we didn't yet. I figured we were going to mention it at the Oscars
Yeah,
itself. Great, absolutely fantastic movie. It's one of Woody
Mhm.
Allen has said, I think it's one of his three movies that he thinks it's one of his best movies, he would
It
say.
is.
And it is actually quite good. Though I think Hannah and Her Sisters is better, which I guess we'll talk about next week. Um, but yeah, like this is like a year where, like I said, like all of these are like very solid populist movies that I would watch right now, but nothing great. Like there's no like I mean, they're classics, but not like classics, except for like Back to the Future, if that makes sense.
I mean, there's a handful of films that still have a cultural footprint, but I would say from like an Oscar perspective, probably not. Like I think I think like people know The Color Purple. And Witness has its stands, but like Out of Africa, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Prizzy's Honor.
No, hardest that passes on some of those.
So, and they're, not all of those are bad either. So like I think Prizzy's is good. And
Oh, I
um
thought I actually thought I had never seen it until we were doing this, and I thought Prizzi's Honor was really bad too. I was like, all of these are just terrible. I don't know.
I mean, I
Witness,
don't think it's like obviously not one of John Huston's best, but
no.
I think Angelica really uh does a lot of work in carrying
I mean, she does a
the
lot with
film.
not a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess we could do. I guess we'll go to do the Oscars, Joyce. We mentioned the show. We don't have the red carpet. Great opening with Alan, Robin, offensive accents. They stand all the nominees up. What'd you think of
That
that?
was so weird and so awkward because they forced them to stand and just applaud themselves.
Really strange.
It
And then
was
we'll get to the awards, I guess.
it
So
was
Best
so
Picture. Should we just go right into Best Picture?
I mean, why not?
So Out of Africa wins for Sidney Pollack, his second Oscar of the night, because he also wins Best Director. Uh, the other nominees were Color Purple for Steven Spielberg, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Preeti's Honor, and Witness. This award given out by Akira Kurosawa, John Huston, and Billy Wilder.
Iconic trio. And I'm like, once again, I'm just like, who would you even get now?
So I thought of this exact same thing, and I was like, it would literally be Steven Spielberg and like Marty and like who? I mean,
But
like
they're
there's
there all the
all
time.
the time. There's no one goes away. No one is like. I mean, like John Huston was a nominee, right? So I'm like, okay, like that would be like Coppola, or I mean, he would fit. Like those guys would. He would be a guy. There's no really comp for Billy Wilder though. I feel like because like he's just like no one goes away. I don't know who would it be. Get Clint. It would be like Clint. Uh,
But Clint has juror number two this year.
they're all still making movies. I don't know who. I don't even know who you would get.
No, yeah. I'm just like, but it's just like we don't get these like moments anymore, you know?
No.
Like these legends of the game coming out.
I mean, it
And
would just we do get them, but it's just so obvious. It's like Steven Spielberg. I mean, it would make sense, honestly. Like Steven
yeah.
Spielberg and like Scorsese and Coppola doing would be like this.
Yeah, and I guess like you can say it was like Pacino this year, but it's like we
When
see him
did
all the
you not
time.
win? Right. I mean, you see it all the time. It's a different world. I don't even know. It's like it's not even like it's just a different world. Like you couldn't
Yeah, and
actually
then like
even
earlier they also have Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds, and Donald O'Connor. Like great.
fantastic. A Singing in the
Mhm.
Rain reunion. It would be so
Yeah.
good. That would be like now. It would be like White Men Can't Jump reunion.
Remember their Pulp Fiction reunion for the 28th anniversary?
So, and none of those people disappear and they're always around. Again, it feels just such a different, it's just a different time. People are too around. Famous people need to step away.
Yeah, go away. We don't want to see you.
So Sidney Pollack wins. I gotta say, huge Sidney Pollack fan. Love him as an actor. He's one of my favorite. He's maybe the best actor, director of the best director actor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, is anybody? I mean, a lot of directors act. He's the only one who I'm like, he's a legitimately good actor, and then also a good director.
I would love to know of people who only know him as an actor, like I'm sure there are people who just see like Maid of Honor and just know him
Right.
as an actor.
Or Michael Clayton. Uh,
Yeah.
Good filmmaker. Not great.
Yeah, I'm happy he has I guess 2 Oscars, but I wish it weren't for this film.
So, and look, if you look at his filmography, I'll just read some highlights, I guess. I would say they shoot horses, don't they? Jeremiah Johnson, The Way We Were, obviously. Barber mentions that in giving him Best Director, which we'll talk about. 3 Days of the Condor, Absence of Malice, Tootsie. That's a great set of films. But then after this, it's Out of Africa, Havana, which I'm not the biggest fan of. The Firm, which is like not great, but watchable. It's fine. A little long. Sabrina, Death, Random Hearts, no. Interpreter, and then Sketches of Frank Gehry and Amazing Grace is the last film he directed, but it's unused footage from stuff he had already done, so it doesn't count. Uh, not the greatest stuff.
Yeah. So the thing was like this year, like going in, it was up in the air what was gonna win. So obviously Out of Africa and Color Purple Colette nominations,
Yes.
but the all of the precursors really, like Critics Awards were split. Um so I think LA gave it to Brazil.
Okay. We didn't mention
Um
Brazil, yeah, but that was another
yeah,
big three.
Brazil, Terry Gilliam. NBR gave it to The Color Purple.
Okay. That feels very MBR-ish.
Yeah. Warner Brothers. They love Warner Brothers.
Still to this
Uh,
day.
New York went with Prizzi's Honor.
That also feels
And
appropriate. That's like
yeah,
American Hustle.
yeah. And then National Society went with Ron. So nothing for Out of Africa until the Globes.
Okay.
They give it to the drama picture
Yes.
to Out of Africa, and Prizzi's Honor wins comedy. And then I have a article here from the Times.
Great.
Headline: Oscar race biggest toss-up in years.
Hmm.
This ran March 22nd, 1986, so 2 days before the ceremony.
Okay.
This is the beginning. Prizzi's Honor has the Oscar for Best Picture sewed up, says the studio executive, because The Color Purple and Out of Africa will cancel each other out.
Hmm.
No, the Academy will vote for Out of Africa because it's one of those stately epics Academy members love, says the man in the next office.
Okay.
Psychologically speaking, insists the man down the hall, the Academy will vote for The Color Purple to assuage Steven Spielberg's pain and not being nominated for the Best Director award. But Witness was the one picture everyone says they liked, adds a producer who is passing by. The outcome of the 1985 Academy Awards race, which millions of Americans will watch on their television sets Monday night, still seems uncertain to the men and women who do the voting. With half a dozen of the major awards less predictable than they have been for years, only the Kiss of they wrote the Kiss of the Spider Woman, a foreign film, seems to be out of contention for Best Picture. And then they go into how usually a consensus forms before the big show. In the 7 weeks between Oscar nominations and Oscar Day, there is almost a consensus about the major awards. Academy members knew that Gandhi would bury E.T., that Terms of Endearment would sweep the major awards, that Amadeus would be picked over a passage to India. It is a knowledge based on past votes and on the elderly, conservative, sentimental nature of a large block of Academy voters. So then it goes into how there's only consensus on 2 likely winners. The 79-year-old director, John Huston, is the favorite for Best Director for a number of reasons, only one of which is his juicy direction of the Black comedy Prizzi's Honor. Uh, and then they talk about, how he directed his dad to an Oscar, and Angelica can win. Um, in recent years, a single movie has tended to sweep, as though a movie worthy of being Best Picture must be best in everything from sound recording to costumes. Amadeus and Gandhi were nominated 11 times each, and each garnered 8 awards, results that industry labeled, quote, boring and, quote, predictable. This week, however, the hype seems to be mixed with genuine excitement and a feeling that there will be more than the usual one big surprise. That is partly because each of the five nominees for Best Picture, except Witness, has strong supporters and equally strong detractors. Although Out of Africa and The Color Purple each have 11 nominations, knowledgeable observers feel that the awards will be more evenly divided in any other year since 1981. Well, Out of Africa wins 7 awards.
Yeah. They definitely they just went with Out of Africa. Like everything there is so funny. It's all really true. I do think
Yeah.
that Witness is the consensus movie to me because it's like
Yeah.
impossible to dislike. It's very down the middle, like classic Hollywood movie, but it just was never going to win. And then like
Mhm.
Out of Africa, they just really all just went all in on Out of Africa.
Yeah, I feel it's more, I don't even know if they are passionate about out of Africa. I think it's more that they're dispassionate or more dispassionate about everything else. Like I feel like there was just a lot of apathy this year.
It's certainly based on having 0 wins and Spielberg missing, they did not like they did not care. They cared enough to nominate The Color Purple in a year when there really aren't a lot of other options. Like we just said, you're not going to nominate like Demi Moore for St. Elmo's Fire or something. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of movies here that were legitimate Oscar movies. So like Color Purple had to make it in all the places that it did, but they clearly didn't care about it or want it to win anything.
No. And yeah, and like obviously that like it would be and even though it's based on a Pulitzer Prize winning book, like that type of film would be very different, especially at the time of what they typically go for. Like Out of Africa is totally something they would go for,
Yeah,
you know.
it fits so it's so funny like in hindsight looking at like that article you just read because I think if you're just looking at this from now and looking at the number of wins it won and like what else wins in this decade, this is like the peak typical Oscar 80s bullshit, right? Like it's just like we've had a lot of these like individually like on Golden Pond maybe or like you're going up and then it just crests with this because this is just such a bullshit middle brow like best picture winner.
Yeah, I think it's like the poster child of the stereotypical perception of Oscar voters. Like they
Mhm.
just love these like bloated epics that,
Yeah,
look beautiful. Like great cinematography, beautiful cinematography.
yeah.
And like movie stars, right? And it's like and it's just a very like simple story. Like it's like there's not much there. I've only seen this movie once.
I actually rewatched it or watched it recently, and I was just like absolutely deadly. It was just deadly. I found it so stiff. It
I
looks
just think
great.
it's just yeah, it looks great. I just think it's really dull.
It's very dull. Meryl is they're actually both. It's like cool to see Meryl doing like a movie star thing. Like she's a full like you know what I mean. Like it's like she's doing a voice and like is like obviously Meryl like doing Meryl stuff, but it's like that's like a movie star Julia Roberts type level Meryl performance. I think it's like very much like that. And Robert Redford is so miscast, but just like doing absolutely like movie star Robert Redford. He's just playing himself. It feels like.
Yeah, and I think like for Meryl, I think this was like her like checking off like being a romantic lead.
Yeah, it feels like that, and she does it like really well. But it's just like the movie's just so flat. I just found it like really flat, and I actually
Yeah,
thought like
and I mean, I've talked to, many people over the years about this movie, and I think like the consensus is like it's just dull.
and I'm not even the biggest Color Purple fan. I think that this version is much better than the musical that we had just seen.
Yes.
Uh, like I don't think it should have won either. I just don't think like the movies I would have had win are like Back to the Future, basically.
So here's a question.
Yes,
Uh, is Gandhi better or worse than Out of Africa?
I would rather watch Out of Africa than Gandhi. The historical like the historical epic in terms of watching. I don't think any of these are good is like subjective, obviously. But in terms of Gandhi, Last Emperor, which we'll end up doing here soon, and Out of Africa, I would rather watch Out of Africa than all the other ones. But I don't think it's actually a good movie. I could see Gandhi being like a slightly better movie, and probably Last Emperor also. But they're all just like of the same piece to me, where I'm just like, no.
Yeah, and I don't know. which one of those, which one is the shortest? I'll watch that one.
I think Out of Africa.
How long is that?
Like it's only like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
It
Yeah,
made
I'll
me
watch
laugh.
that.
I guess I was thinking too of like English Patient a lot when I was watching it, and I was like, I actually think English Patient is so much better. I don't think
Yeah,
English Patient is
I
a
like
bad
English
movie,
Patient.
and I think it's a little more. There's a more like life to it. The Out of Africa just feels so flat. It just does. I don't know. It's just like very flat.
It feels like a parody. It feels like something you would see on like 30 Rock, like a parody of like Oscar bait,
Yeah.
but it's actually real. And I don't even think it's a bad movie. Like there are so many like, well made elements of
Yeah,
it.
it's not
But
like we're talking about. It's not like Crash.
yeah, like I think it's very aggressively okay.
Yeah.
Um, but you don't give Oscars to like aggressively okay
Where
films.
do you think in any other year that we've done would it have won?
I think that depends on the competition. Like I think if they're like it wouldn't be Terms,
I don't think it would be any
or
of them.
Amadeus.
I don't think it would be Terms. I don't think it'd be Amadeus. I don't think
Yeah,
it
I
would
don't
be
think it would be
Chariots of
those. Like
Fire.
I think those you could tell like they love those movies.
And I think this was like a default. Like we have no other movies. This is what you gave us this year, Hollywood, and we have to pick this one.
Yeah, this is why you can't just like look at things on paper without context because it won 7 Oscars. So you would just feel like, oh, that's basically a sweep, right? It won the same amount of Oscars as Oppenheimer,
But
and we know they love Oppenheimer, but I
did
wouldn't say
not.
they love Out of Africa,
I don't
like you
think
need the
so.
context for
Yeah.
this. And yeah, I think it's just, I think it's everything, it's very tasteful, right?
Yeah. It's just like a typical. It's like you
Yeah,
said.
but
It's
there's
like
nothing, it's
quintessential.
hard to conjure enthusiasm about it.
And like of the nominees, I would pick Witness. Certainly, I think that's like a
Same.
good movie. It's like a
Yeah.
legitimately good movie.
Yeah, and I think like Kiss of Spider-Man, I haven't seen that in a while either, but great performances.
A great acting movie. Yeah.
Yeah, great acting movie. And yeah, again, Color Purple, I don't know, I don't think I would vote for that either. Like I don't even know where I would rank it in like I would just do Witness.
I would probably rank it second because I thought Prizzi's Honor was terrible also. So I'm out on like all these except for Witness basically and Color Purple. Uh so
Uh
other Best Picture nominees, I guess, do we want to do? Or should we go into like
well, Back to the Future, Ron, which I think
Ron? Certainly.
just like missed. Cocoon.
Cocoon definitely would have gotten in. I have Purple Rose of Cairo
Yeah.
and Runaway Train.
Yeah. I also have Brazil, but like I don't think so.
I also wrote down a chorus line.
Sure.
Uh so we could I think Cocoon would have definitely gotten in if it was 10. They like that movie.
Yeah. And also, Sydney was shocked to win.
So was he shocked to win picture or director?
I think both. But I feel like after winning director, you should kind of be like, oh, like maybe.
Yeah, I felt like he was a little surprised to win director and less surprised to win picture, but he definitely was like very grateful and humbled, I
Yeah,
think.
very short speech. I think also because of who presented it
Yeah.
too. So
Uh Ron definitely just missed.
yeah.
Back to the Future should have won, clearly. I couldn't figure out any of the stuff you read. Did you understand why they were like so anti this movie?
Back to the Future?
I feel like they were not as hot on this movie as they should have been. Just based on
I
what it got nominated for.
It got 4 nominations, which I think like that's like a decent haul for that type of movie,
So
you
it
know?
gets the screenplay nomination, which is really good.
Yeah.
It misses score somehow, which is psycho
I
because
mean,
it's
it got
like
more nominations than Temple of Doom. That only
no,
got two.
yeah, but it's like I mean, I think score it could have gotten in. It probably could have gotten another song nomination, but it got the one. It gets the sound nomination. Uh
Yeah, and it wasn't like, a surprise editing nominee either, you know.
right. It just feels like it missed a lot. It didn't even get nominated for visual effects. That is like strange.
I mean, maybe they resented it because it was the top grossing movie
And
of the
maybe they
year.
did. It's starring a TV star, right? Like who knows?
Yeah.
Um Purple Rose of Cairo is fantastic. Like we talked about this last week, but it is a great movie. It is so
Hmm.
good. Great Woody Allen movie. Uh Probably should have gotten into. certainly better than Preeti's Honor. I mean, I think they were just like high on the John Huston of it all with that.
Yeah, because it was like
Is not
probably
his
his last
last.
hurrah, and then it's like, he could direct his daughter to an
Yeah.
Oscar. And,
I have no other movies written down for a potential Best Picture.
Oh, me either. That was all I had.
And then we'll do Best Director. Sidney Pollack wins for Out of Africa, presented by Barbara, who is
Mhm.
Memories. This is the way we were. Great moment. The others are Hector Babenco for Kiss of the Spider Woman, John Huston for Preeti's Honor, Akira Kurosawa for Ron, and Peter Weir for Witness. So Spielberg snubbed, but I got to say, of all the Spielberg snubs in his career, I'm sure getting snubbed for Akira Kurosawa is maybe okay. I don't know. Like, I'm like, do you think Spielberg even minded? You're like missing my, you're getting knocked out by Kurosawa or John Huston. Like,
He won DGA.
yeah,
So yeah, so I have another article here about
please,
this.
yeah,
So again, from the Times, and this ran February 7th, so 3 days after nominations.
okay.
Hollywood is always full of puzzled and often sore losers the day after the Academy Award nominations are announced. However, Steven Spielberg's failure to get an Oscar nomination for The Color Purple has caused unusual shockwaves. Talks about, the 11 nominations, blah, 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 and then how voting works. Okay. The talk in Hollywood today was about whether the Academy's 230 directors overlooked Mr. Spielberg because they were jealous of his immense commercial success. Even The Color Purple is an unexpected box office hit, or because they didn't think the movie was an outstanding achievement in directing. One member of the directors branch of the Academy, who asked not to be identified, said that most people he knew had mixed feelings toward the movie and felt the directing had no consistent style. Pause. This is hilarious to me, this take, because I would say Color Purple, like, you can see his like directorial intent. I think you can always see that in Spielberg's films, like the camera placement and everything. And I would say it's Out of Africa that feels like it has an anonymous director, like it's directed by committee, you
It's,
know?
I couldn't even say one single thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this cracked me up. Major critics have been divided, with many putting The Color Purple on their 10 best lists and other accusing Mr. Spielberg of sweetening and softening the book. They talk about his previous nominations and the DGA. Okay, so however, the Guild's 8,000 members, about half are assistant directors and unit production managers. Most of the 4,000 director members direct television or commercials.
Mhm.
Quote, we nominated Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and they nominated a couple of foreign guys, said Charles Warren, public relations manager for the Directors Guild, referring to the fact that Mr. Spielberg and Ron Howard got Guild nominations, while Hector Babenco and Akira Kurosawa replaced them as Oscar nominees.
That's
So
fantastic.
this is like, we know this now too. This is what happens now, right?
Nothing has changed. Not a single thing
Nothing
has changed.
has changed. And then that there is currently something of a backlash toward Mr. Spielberg was apparent in the number of people who made the assumption Wednesday that he had masterminded a statement by Warner Brothers, the producer of Color Purple, expressing shock and dismay that he wasn't nominated. The studio today denied that the director had anything to do with the statement.
So hilarious. And nothing
Yeah,
has changed,
nothing. It's
basically.
the same thing, same shit,
I'll
same
say
shit all
this.
the
I
time.
mean, I think Color Purple is a good movie, not great. It's not anywhere near
Yeah,
the
it's
best
not one of his
Spielberg.
best,
And he
and
didn't
yeah.
need to get nominated for it based on some of the other movies he's
Mhm.
made. He probably should have been nominated this year, maybe because the movie was nominated for so many things, and it's kind of silly to think like, did it direct? I mean, this is a real did it direct itself? It got 11 nominations. I know it's
Yeah,
like
I think if it
songs
got
and acting, but
fewer,
like,
yeah, if it got fewer, it would be less glaring.
and but I also do think there was a I do believe this is I mean conspiracy Chris here, but I do believe that there was a lot of jealousy or dislike of Spielberg because he like fundamentally I mean, it does feel like Nolan a little before Oppenheimer, right? Where it's like you have this incredibly successful director who is like the only game in town, really, in terms of like these big spectacle things between producing like Back to the Future and directing like Raiders and all these big hits, E.T. And like, yeah, I do think there was a little jealousy there. And then also, it's like he's trying too hard, right? Like this is like his
Yeah, this is his
first
first serious drama.
right. So it's like he was nominated previously, like we've talked about, and but for movies that are like undeniably populist movies.
Yeah.
And like this is like I'm doing a serious movie that's a serious drama, for regardless of whether he should have done it with the subject matter or what. And that was kind of relitigated even this past year with the remake or the adaptation of the musical. Um, yeah, it just feels like try hard, and it feels like a group of guys who are like going to punish him for being too successful and get off our lawn, basically.
Yeah, and like we literally still have this to this day,
Right.
you
And the
know?
movie, and if the movie was
Yeah.
undeniable, maybe he would have gotten it anyway. Resentful, and maybe he wouldn't have won anyway. But like, I think the movie being okay gave them leeway to be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's like, it's them basically saying like you still have to prove yourself, kid.
right,
Like this is your first at bat at a drama,
right.
after doing popcorn flicks.
Yeah,
So then in Inside Oscar they have more on this.
great.
Um Columnist Martin Grove warned, quote, "It would be best for all concerned that the balloting not take place under a cloud," and recommended that the Academy, quote, "appoint a blue ribbon panel to
Wow.
investigate, quote, any organized effort to dissuade voters from nominating Spielberg." Academy President Robert Wise said, "Forget it," maintaining that the members of the director's branch, quote, "voted their artistic and creative feelings." One member, Henry Jaglom, vented his feelings, telling the Los Angeles Times, quote, "The nominations for Babenco and Kurosawa are great. The whole thing is a sign the director's branch is growing up." Of the non-nominee, Jaglom said, quote, "He took this wonderful material and turned it into Zippity Song of the South." The Los Angeles Herald Examiner's Greg Kilday shot back, quote, "Out of Africa isn't a model of documentary realism either, a fact purists seem willing to overlook." The one unperturbed voice was John Huston's, who told Army Archer that Spielberg, quote, "has had too much success. He can afford to miss a beat." Huston could afford to be so sanguine. With Spielberg out of the running, now he held the lead in the Best Director race.
Why do you think he lost?
John Huston?
Yeah.
I think because Fritzi's is not not like the typical like Oscar bait film, right?
Yeah. I guess I would say like we've talked it's interesting because we'll talk about this the acting wins. I felt like this year is incredible. Is it really sentimental winners? All of
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things are very
Mhm,
sentimental. And like we know they're not as sentimental now. That's one of the things I think that has changed about the Oscars, right? Is they're
mhm.
not as sentimental. And I would say pretty again, I know I'm not like I just did not like this movie. I never seen honestly never seen it before. So I was like coming at it fresh and I watched it and I was like, this sucks. And like I feel like the direction is also really bad because it's the tone is all over the place. It's a complete like Jack is one of the worst Jack performances I've ever seen. So I was just like, I don't think John Huston is like at his full capabilities on this movie. So I would have been
Well,
surprised
he
if
was
it
79
won.
years old and
I
sick.
know, I know, and he was ill. So I'm like, God bless him, right? But I'm like, I don't think he would have won on merit, but like I'm surprised he didn't win on sentimentality when you see some of the other winners that we have here. I guess I would say I don't know.
Um,
Like I
yeah,
guess
I
they just
mean,
like that of
this is
Africa.
also, when there was more linkage between
Right.
director
They're
and
not going to split.
picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
It was
it's
never going to win picture, like you said, and it's not a typical Oscar movie.
yeah, and it's like, maybe they did feel like he's won before, right?
Right.
For
Right.
Treasure of the Sierra
Right.
Madre.
Right. Um,
So he didn't need to win this one. But
Pollock could have won for. I mean, Pollock has made movies that they really liked in the past, recently, Absence of Malice and Tootsie. So it like
mhm.
makes sense that he would win as having ever won an Oscar.
Yeah. So then backstage, um, oh wait, where is this? Wrong page. So since The Color Purple got blanked, no one
Yes.
went to the press room
Yes.
from that team. So then, everyone peppered the next best person, Sidney Pollack, about it going over 11. And he said, quote, "It's a difficult spot you've put me in," responded Pollack, "and I can't win no matter how I answer that question. I don't want to put a damper on an evening by trying to speculate on an undiplomatic question with an undiplomatic answer." But the press did get out of him that, quote, "It was a strange night. I didn't know what to expect. I thought Mr. Houston would get it." And
Hmm.
like as we've seen from these articles, like he was the presumptive favorite with Stephen out.
Right.
It's also funny that you know, well, I guess it's for sure after he won DGA, had he been nominated, he would have been the favorite.
Yeah,
you
but he
know.
would have not won. I don't
Yeah,
obviously.
he would have
I
not
mean,
won, but I think it's like, but even like with the nominations, like before DJ winners, it's interesting that he was seen as like, I guess he was seen as like a co-favorite probably with Sydney. It's so funny that like no one mentioned Sydney.
let me
Like
ask you, if
that was like a surprise
if
when
Steven is in there, I actually think I could make the argument with my brainworms that John Huston would have won because
because like Sydney and Steven would
I
cancel each other
I think
out.
they maybe would because they're kind of the same era, right? And like the others are, I mean, if Steven gets in place of Babenko or Kurosawa, let's say Babenko, right? Because I feel like Kurosawa was maybe even stronger. Like if Kurosawa and Weir are like you could put them as like the international guys, right? And then like Houston is the old guy and Steven and Sidney Pollack is like the real Hollywood guys. And I'm like, maybe John Huston would actually win in that calculation. But with Steven gone, Sydney is going to be like the guy. Like it just feels right. And they like the
Yeah.
movie, obviously. And there you go. So I have Steven written down as obviously a best director potential. I wrote down Ron Howard for Cocoon.
Yes, for sure.
Obviously, DGA
Um,
nominee, like you said.
yeah, I did as Zemeckis for Back to the Future.
So now, I mean, now I would make the case that like again, I don't mean to be like, I guess it's silly to be like, man, you know, it's a great movie, Back to the Future, but it is like, I mean, it's got to be one of the great movies of my lifetime, of our lifetime, right? My lifetime, certainly. You were born here in this era. You were alive at this point too.
I was born in
You were
85.
born in '85,
This
so
is
I'm
the
like, it
movie
is
of my
definitely like,
year.
it is like the movie of like, it is one of the great movies. I don't think there's any way you can knock it. I think it's like a perfect popcorn film, but also like really well made and like
Hmm.
super fun, and the themes are really great, and it is timeless, even though it's like so dated,
Yeah, I
obviously.
think yeah, for sure, because I think it's still like can win over new fans today,
I
you know?
watched it with my daughter and her,
Yeah.
and they like it. I mean, it's like it's like very watchable. It's like really good. And then I put Woody Allen for Purple Rose of Cairo because I'm like,
Yeah.
that's one of his best movies. Though, I mean, like, I understand why he didn't get nominated for this, but it's really fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down three cool picks that would never get in, but nowadays I think would be a lot more popular. William Friedkin for To Live and Die in L.A., Marty for After Hours, and Joel and Ethan Coen for Blood Simple.
The Coens were coming. They just
Where were you on After Hours?
it's okay. It's not there's it's like I think a lot of like his 80s films, I'm just like it's like in the middle for me.
So I really like it. I used to love it a lot more. It used to be like the cool one to watch, right? Like oh,
Yeah.
and then everybody liked it, so it's not cool.
So, yeah, that's what you don't want. You don't want people
And
aping your stuff.
and then I saw it in the theater like maybe last year, like a little year and a half ago at like Nighthawk, and I was like, it's not as good as I remember. But then I rewatched it on like TV the other night. Literally, it was just on like again, like flipping around the Tubi, and I was like, man, this is great. I just think it's like really fun. It is definitely like a palate cleanser for him after like flopping with King of Comedy.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe I should watch it.
It's pretty fun. I mean, it's like it's really fun, and there's a lot of great. Everyone in it is great. He gets like a lot of good performances, and it's clear like Marty and like I'm a comedy guy, Marty. You know, like all these comedy people are in it. I didn't write anybody else down.
I have Terry Gilliam for Brazil.
Sure. Of the nominees, Sidney Pollack wins. Who would you have given it to?
Of these,
Of the people who are
um,
nominated?
I don't know. I mean, so I've never seen Ron.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Uh, since I haven't seen that,
I think people would say Kurosawa, but
sure.
I
I would say Peter Weir because I've seen that.
yeah, because like that's the movie I like the
Yeah.
most of these. So,
And like we said, Barbara gives out the Oscar there.
mhm.
Memories, really good. Uh, Sally Field, let's do Best Actor, Joyce. Sally Field comes out to do Best Actor. We talked about this last week with her speech being misappropriated forever, which says, "You like me." What does she say for real? I don't want to mess it up myself.
She wasn't sure the first time if she likes them, and now she knows you you do like me. There's no really. That's the
There's no
thing.
really. She's like, "You
Yeah.
like me. I can say you like me," or whatever it is, right? So then we said it's been misappropriated to be really like me, really like me. So they bring out Sally Field, and she herself forced to read this banter clearly because I could tell she doesn't look super pleased, but is like, "We're up to Best Actor, so let's see which one you really, really like."
Yeah, and it's like the thing is, when people talk about her speech, they obviously link to her actual speech, in which you can see that she doesn't actually say this. Like no one refers to her presenting Best Actor the following year.
No, but it's funny to me that they made her do it wrong. Like it was already a
Yeah.
misappropriated meme, basically. Uh, and William Hurt wins for Kiss of the Spider Woman. The other nominees are uh, Harrison Ford for Witness, not even there, doesn't even show
There
up.
he and Peter are shooting the Mosquito Coast.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
James Garner for Murphy's Romance, very charming movie. And with Sally Field in it, and she references that in the intro. Jack for Prizzi's Honor and John Voight for Runaway Train.
So Raul Julia snubbed
Shocking
for
snub here,
Kiss
I
of
would
the
say.
Spider Woman. Is this the beginning of them, splitting co-leads?
Well, yeah, because we saw last week
That was the
Amadeus
last
did
time.
both
That's
in.
literally the last time.
Shocking that John. I guess I'm just shocked that John Voight got in for Runaway Train, which is like just a real like what is it's like a genre movie basically, like over Raul Julia, who really should have gotten in. I don't understand how he doesn't get in for Kiss of Spider Woman, especially because they
Well,
like the
they
movie enough.
so John, he also won the Globe.
I know.
It's like
I don't get it.
it's weird because had Raul gotten in, it would still have been like the Amadeus situation where you just knew William Hurt was winning, like you knew F. Murray Abraham
It felt
was
like William Hurt
winning.
was definitely going to win, right? Like there
Yeah,
was no
like it's
doubt.
just the flashier role. And so it's just like an egregious snub for Raul Julia.
Shocking.
And then this lineup is like, okay.
Okay, so I think Jack is just terrible in Prizzi's Honor. I really do. I don't think he's very good at all. He's playing, and he seemed offended, but Sally calls him like slow-witted, the character, or whatever. And I'm like, Jack, if you didn't think he was being slow-witted, I have news for you. He comes across as slow-witted in the movie.
I mean, he was with Angelica at the time, so it's just like favors.
I get it. I understand all of it, and I'm like, Jack's a great movie star. Robin Williams does like a tight five on Jack with the sunglasses. It's great. Love it so much. But he's bad in this movie. James Garner Murphy's Romance is a nice comeback, like whatever kind of thing. James
Very
Garner is like
charming
so
performance.
charming. He's such a charming actor. Like I always love him in everything. Like one of the most charming actors. My hot take is Harrison Ford. Even though Witness is only as good as many other movies he's done, I really think he could have won for Witness because like it's his only Oscar nomination. It's shocking that he does no other Oscars or nothing.
So, our mutual friend, her now husband, then boyfriend, many years ago, was shocked to learn that Harrison Ford did not win the Oscar for this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think they had just watched it again, or maybe they were just talking about it, and he just always assumed that Harrison Ford won the Oscar for this, and then she was texting me like, "LOL, like you're never gonna believe this." And he couldn't believe it. And it's just funny to me because like obviously like we follow this stuff and we know this stuff. Like we know that this is his only Oscar nomination and he didn't win. But I'm just really think of like all the normies who have like their favorite actors and their favorite films and they don't care enough, even though they're fans of these people, to
Look,
like do the due diligence and do the research to confirm that like their favorite actor actually won this award.
no.
you know?
Uh, I think it's a very good performance. It's very solid. There's nothing spectacular. Like I don't
No.
actually think it's like he's doing Harrison Ford. It's like
Yeah.
exactly the same shit he always does. It's just doing it really
Oh wait,
well.
I have something funny to read from
Okay.
Inside Oscar. So Witness premiered at Cannes.
Yeah.
So it says Witness opened the Cannes Film Festival in May, but Variety reported, quote, it did not win a standing ovation from the SRO glitterati at the Grand Auditorium. So Variety
Still
timing standing
timing and standing
O's since
ovations.
at least 1985.
It's amazing. Oh man, I love that. Um, William Hurt, uh,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Obviously, fraud afterlife, with the allegations of abuse and stuff that have been
Yeah.
dodged.
And then the following year or next week we'll talk about Marley.
And
So
Marley was there with him when he
yeah,
wins
because they're
this.
together. They just made Children of a Lesser
Yes.
God.
Uh, like he probably should have an Oscar for this run here of movies that he made in the 80s. So it felt like it's gonna be this one and that's just it, right? Like you know what I mean? Like he could have easily won for like
And
broadcast
it's
news
a
or
great performance.
it's
So
great. I just wish Harrison Ford honestly I was like
What else would you nominate Harrison for?
So I think like I didn't even make a strong case when we did the 81, I guess, right? But Raiders, I think you could make it.
Raiders.
I think Raiders is a really good one, though I think he's actually better in the movie in Temple of Doom, which we like would never happen. I think Working Girl is like a really obvious one coming up that like
Yeah.
he's great in it, and it's a very good movie, and he's fantastic in it, and it's like a fun supporting role, and it would have been easy like give him an Oscar in a supporting role kind of thing. It's
Mhm.
Harrison Ford is basically in Working Girl is Jack in terms of endearment. You know what I mean? But like they didn't love the movie as much as Terms, so otherwise I don't really know. I mean, like he's not.
He just has a lot of movie star performances, you know? It's like it's like I guess you could say The Fugitive because Tommy Lee Jones won for The Fugitive
I
and
think The Fugitive would have made sense, and it's very much in league with Witness. Like I feel like he has like
yeah.
two modes. It's like charming movie star, Indiana Jones Han Solo mode, or like gruff guy making his way through the world in Witness and Frantic and Fugitive and all these different movies. So I think Working Girl would have been the one to give him it for, but I don't know.
It is funny how because he's gonna be in Captain America Brave New World and
Yeah,
he's replacing
William
William
Hurt.
Hurt as
Yeah,
Thaddeus
I
Ross.
wonder if anybody will bring that up on the press tour, Joyce.
Do you think they've discussed that on set?
No. Do you think anybody even covering the movie will know that exists?
No.
Okay. Other people for Best Actor, Joyce, I wrote down Raul Julia, obviously, because of Spider Woman. Who would have been bumped for you?
John.
Certainly. Uh,
I have Jeff Daniels for The Purple Rose of Cairo.
it's a really fun. I don't think he would have ever gotten in. I wrote it down too. It's a very fun double performance. It's actually
Hmm.
very subtle, and he's playing like the actor and the character, obviously, and he's very good in it. I don't think he deserved necessarily needed to get nominated, but he is very good. It was a role originally marked for Michael
For
Keaton.
Keaton, yeah, but then Woody felt he was too modern.
And watching it, I'm like, I don't think Keaton would have worked. He doesn't like Keaton would have been great as the movie star Jeff Daniels, like the actor, but the earnestness of the character he's playing in the movie, I don't think Keaton could have pulled it off. Like Jeff Daniels has that like aw shucks dumb guy shtick down so well, and Keaton is like too smart for that.
Yes, he's way too smart.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox, obviously.
So I really think he should have got like I can't keep doing this back in the future. I'm like, man, it's such a good performance. He's so good.
And Griffin Dunn for After Hours.
Great would have never a million years happened.
No.
Griffin Dunn would have been Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems and probably would have
Yes,
won New
yes,
York Film Critic.
exactly.
Did he win? He should have won like New York Film Critics Circle basically. If it was now, it would be he would win New York Film Critics Circle.
Oh my God, imagine like all because like New York would be first and then all the tweets and everything
Oh my
and
god, it
like the
would be all in on
balloting.
Uncut on After
Oh my
Hours.
gosh.
Also, I got to say, Uncut Gems is better than After Hours. The students had become the teacher in that one
Um, I also wrote down Paul Rubens for Pee Wee.
too.
Would never happen,
Never in a
but
million years.
I just wrote it down.
Jeff Bridges for Jagged Edge,
Sure.
and I got Gene Hackman for Twice in a Lifetime.
I've never seen that movie.
Not a great list of actors here. Again, like
It
uh
was just kind of like, William's time
yeah, I mean he
and
was great in like a lot of things, and like it just felt like again, this is it. Like
yeah, and he was
obvious.
definitely surprised to win too.
Yeah,
So
but who would have won?
I don't know. I mean, well, again, John Voight won the Globe and then Jack won the Comedy Globe.
I
So
guess
maybe
Jack,
it's
maybe,
just like, but
maybe,
then
but
it's like so close to his terms win
yeah,
too, it would have been his third. So, and I don't know. It's like, was that movie going to win two acting Oscars? I don't know.
I don't know. For Best Actress choice, Geraldine Page wins for the Trip to Bountiful.
On her eighth nomination.
Other nominees included Anne Bancroft for Agnes of God, Whoopi Goldberg for The Color Purple, Jessica Lange for Sweet Dreams, and Meryl Streep for Out of Africa.
Jessica Lange just on a roll
Just
since her double noms and win for Tootsie.
her and
You
Meryl
can't miss.
every
Yeah.
year in here. Will never miss, it seems.
Also, fun fact about Meryl, this is her last acting nomination for a Best Picture nominee until The Post.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Good
Yeah.
stat.
Yeah.
I've seen Trip to Bountiful one time.
Same.
Don't have any memory about anything specific about it, but I know I saw it. I can remember watching it with my mom, so I know I've seen it.
It is yeah, old lady wants to go home.
I gotta say, when I saw it, I remember thinking this is a TV movie, and then I was later in my life found out it's a real movie.
It's
So there you go.
well, it's obviously an adaptation of a play. Um so and Geraldine, a legendary stage actress, but also has had a very fruitful film career. Obviously, this was her eighth nomination, so she was overdue for a win. And I think she, gives a lovely performance in the film.
A lovely performance, and clearly, I think gets a one of the standing ovations of the night. I feel like, right? Did she?
Yeah, it was a very prolonged standing O, and F. Murray Abraham, famously, before he announces her as the winner, he is just overcome and he's like, "Oh, I consider this woman the greatest actress in the English language." And you could tell in like the nominee boxes, like Jessica Lange, she's like whispering like to Sam Shepard's like it's Geraldine Page. And like everyone knew. And they were thrilled for her, and she thought she was going to lose. Like there's a bunch of quotes in Inside Oscar about her, expecting to lose because she's just lost so many times. And she had her shoes off, and that's why it took her so long to get
Hmm.
to the stage because she
Oh,
took
that's
off her
so
shoes.
funny because it freezes basically on
Yeah, because well, so she is sitting behind John Voight and a young Angelina Jolie.
Yes, I wrote
So
that
they're
down.
just like staring at her as she
Yeah.
tries to get up or get her shoes on to get up. And yeah, it's yeah, one of those sentimental wins this year, like you said, and sadly she dies the year later.
Yeah. So
And so does John Huston.
yes. All that being said, I'm like, I really this would have been where I think Whoopi should have maybe won for Color Purple. Like she's fantastic in it. I don't know. I think you could have made the case she wins
So,
for this.
uh, she talks about this in her memoir. So
Yeah.
this is from a couple weeks ago, and she is happy she lost.
Okay.
So, here's an excerpt. So, when I got my first Oscar nomination for The Color Purple, I didn't know how I felt about it, but I knew I was good in the movie and that it was worthy of a nomination, but I didn't expect one. I said to my mother, "This is all very odd. I don't know how to feel about any of this." And she said, "Well, the first thing you should remind yourself of is that you may not win. I know people are already saying that you are going to get it. This may not happen. You may not. So you need to be glad you got there the first time out." So she was a huge Geraldine Page stan because of their New York connections and like
Sure.
theater connections, and she says like she never had the money to see her, and quote, "I also knew she had been nominated for an Oscar many times, had never won one. To me, she is one of those be all end all actors." So she knew Geraldine won because of Murray. Um, so quote, "I knew it was Geraldine Page for her performance in A Trip to Bountiful, and I was thinking, you're not the only one who feels that way about her."
Hmm.
He announced Geraldine's name. I was applauding like crazy, and she was walking to the stage, the actor sitting next to me said, "Why did you applaud so much when she beat you?" I said, "What do you mean? That's Geraldine Page. She's Geraldine Page." She was thrilled.
No, I know she was. I just think it's like it is a great. I mean, I'm glad Whoopi Goldberg has an Oscar. Obviously, we talked about for Ghost, and like she's great in Ghost too. But like she's very good in this movie, like very very good. And I think it would be easy to imagine Color Purple winning actress and supporting actress. Uh,
But they just again they
they didn't
just
like it.
didn't like that movie that much. So yeah, so like Whoopi won the Globe. Um, but I also think if you look at um the winners in this category this decade, ever since Sissy Spacek as Loretta Lynn beat Bad Mom or Ice Cold Mom, Mary Tyler Moore in Ordinary People, the subsequent wins like Katharine Hepburn, Meryl Streep, Shirley MacLaine, Sally Field, and now Geraldine Page, they're like nice moms, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Um, I wrote down a lot of snubs here because I mean I think this is just a deep bench of people you could have in. Mia Farrow for Purple Rose of Cairo. I would have said is like maybe should have won if she was in here. It's a fantastic performance. I think she's so good in it.
We talked about her last week.
Yes, so we don't need to belabor the point, but she is fantastic in it.
Uh, Still never nominated.
Sally Field for Murphy's Romance. I wrote down,
Hmm.
and Kathleen Turner for Preeti's Honor, who I actually think is the best part of Preeti's Honor. So of course she didn't get nominated.
I have Cher for
Yes.
Mask. She
Start me off.
won Best Actress at Cannes, along with Norma Alejandro for The Official Story.
Mm-hmm. And I have Glenn Close for Jagged Edge.
Mhm. I also have Meryl Streep for Plenty, her other film
Mm-hmm.
this year. Obviously, she couldn't get in for both, but you know,
And I have Joyce Heiser for one of the guys. Just one of the
of
guys,
course you
Joyce.
do.
Uh, yeah, Cher making we didn't talk about it yet, but she comes out in her iconic
Her,
outfit
yeah. Hmm.
and mentions how she must have misread the handbook about what to wear for Best Actress, I think,
Oh,
right?
she did read the handbook.
She did read the
That's what
handbook.
she
Yeah.
wore. But yeah, and then I felt like it was just of this group, like, I don't think Meryl was winning.
No,
And Jessica Lange, God bless her, but like not for this, as
feels like a
Patsy
filler.
Cline.
Feels like a filler nom.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think, Whoopi was the runner up, but they just
Didn't like it.
don't like the movie. So it's,
Uh, for supporting actor, speaking of Sentimental, another one, Don Amici for Cocoon wins. The other nominees are Klaus Maria Brandauer for Out of Africa, presumably the favorite, at least heading into this, I would imagine, based on everything he won.
yes.
William Hickey for Preeti's Honor, Robert Loggia for Jagged Edge, and Eric Roberts for The Immortal Runaway Train.
Yeah, so Klaus won the Globe, and I would say he's probably the best part of Out of Africa.
He is.
So, and like Don's win is kind of a surprise.
And a
So,
huge standing ovation, clearly a beloved
yeah.
figure. So Don Amici was like obviously like a classic movie star in the early golden age of Hollywood, right? That era, I guess, or whatever.
Well, he was like he started in radio,
Radio.
and
Yeah.
then he just like, he's like been around and he just did stuff, but I don't, from what I've read, like it wasn't like he was like perceived to be overdue. He was just like one of those guys who was always around, and then he got a late career renaissance of Trading Places. So then he
Yes.
started making all these movies in the 80s. So then I guess this was just like a perfect storm for him,
Yeah.
and they just gave it to him. So
And it's a
like
fun
he wasn't
like
even nominated at the Globes.
no, it's a fun, I mean, definitely like sure. I'm not mad he's nominated. I'm not even mad at this win because I don't care about these other nominees either. Like, I mean, Klaus Maria Brandauer is the best part of Out of Africa, but like, eh. And
Yeah,
William Hickey
and
in Prizzi's honor, I'm like, give me a Christmas Vacation instead, maybe, or My Blue Heaven.
so, like Don has the break dancing scene in
Yeah,
Cocoon, which is obviously not him, but I wonder if that just won it for him. It's just like
they
iconic.
mentioned in the show that as if he did it. I think Bob Hope comes out, and we'll talk about that. I guess we can talk about that
Yeah,
now. But he comes out uh after Don Amici wins to present the Hirschfeld Award. And then he's talking about not winning an Oscar, and he has that immortal line. He's like, I think they ought to give me an Oscar just for attendance. I'm happy to be here for this annual Hollywood lottery, or as it's known in my house, Passover.
they've played that so many times since.
Uh, and he mentions Don Amici, like, it's great to see him win. Where's mine? Basically. So
Yeah.
sure. Like I said, I don't think I'm fine with his win because like I don't care about the category. I would have nominated other people, certainly.
Well, we also mentioned last week Danny Glover.
So
Want to
Glover
talk about
definitely should have probably gotten in here, right?
Yeah. I have Eric Stoltz for Mask.
Same.
Christopher Lloyd.
So
For
again,
the
can't believe they do this, but what if Christopher Lloyd actually should have won? Like, I think he should have not only been nominated, I think he actually
Do
should have
you
won.
think he would have won had he gone in?
Maybe. I mean, they didn't dislike Back to the Future, like we said, like it did get the screenwriting nomination. I think Cocoon is so sentimental, so clearly
Yeah.
sentimental that it's hard to imagine him winning. But like, man, that is a great Doc Brown. Like, that's an all-time performance.
I feel like Dom would have still won.
I do think Christopher Lloyd should have gotten in though. Uh, Other people I wrote down, none of whom would have ever got nominated. Danny Aiello in Purple Rose of Cairo is actually really great. Brian Dennehy for Cocoon.
All the other Cocoons.
All the other Cocoons. Willem Dafoe for To Live and Die in LA would never happen, but he is like, it's like unbelievably good. And Lou Gossett for Enemy Mine. This freaky alien guy.
But yeah, congratulations to Don.
Great.
I don't,
What else are we
you
gonna
know,
say?
yeah, great win for him. And yeah, I feel the same. Like I don't really care about any of these
No.
people either. So
And then supporting actress, we mentioned this a few times, and Angelica Houston wins for Prizzi's Honor, directed by her father. Other nominees are Margaret Avery for Color Purple, Amy Madigan for Twice in a Lifetime, Meg Tilly for Agnes of God, and Oprah Winfrey for The Color Purple.
yeah, and Margaret Avery famously took out her own ad, very controversial,
Yeah,
to campaign for herself. So she had nothing before this, no precursors,
good for her.
and she got in. So her ad, if anyone has never seen it, um, it featured a her as Shug Avery, and inside Oscar it says like she got the blessing of Alice Walker to do the ad. And it reads, Dear God, my name is Margaret Avery. I knows that I've been blessed by Alice Walker, Steven Spielberg, and Quincy Jones, who gave me the part of Shug Avery in The Color Purple. Now I is up for one of the nominations for Best Supporting Actress, along with some fine, talented ladies that I is proud to be in the company of. Well, God, I guess the time has come for the Academy voters to decide whether I is one of the best supporting actresses this year or not. Either way, thank you, Lord, for the opportunity. Your little daughter, Margaret Avery.
Consider.
FYC. So this was like, like the biggest, self-campaign scandal since Chill's Wills. So, but it worked. She got in. So.
Uh, Angelica Houston also feels sentiment. I mean, talking about. I just think that's a sentimental win. I don't think she's
Well, I think
great.
it's also because like she wasn't really taken seriously as an actress before
Right.
this. So this was like a breakthrough type of performance for her. It was like, oh wow, look, she can actually act.
Yeah. It feels like that.
Yeah.
And it feels like
Um,
Nepo baby stuff. Not I hate
and
that
I
stuff,
do
but
think
like
like
everyone feels
I
like
do
that.
think she is good in that movie. So I don't think it's a bad win. And uh yeah, like it I think it makes sense. And I don't think like, you know, any like clearly the Color Purple ladies were not gonna win.
Yeah, I think that's the issue more
So
so than like uh other people I wrote down. Sonia Braga for Kiss of the Spider Woman seems like a real miss.
yeah, Kelly McGillis for Witness.
So Kelly McGillis, I really upset she wasn't nominated. She's fantastic in the movie. She's so good, and I think she would have made a really compelling, honestly, winner as well. Couldn't even get nominated though. But man, she's great in it. She's so good. The chemistry with Harrison Ford is fantastic, and she really sells like the Amishness of it's like acting, really good acting.
I also wrote down Francis for Blood Simple.
Okay, smart. I have Roseanne Arquette for Desperately Seeking Susan. Maybe we could fraud her, or you could do her for After Hours.
I would do her in lead for Susan.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Kelly LeBrock for Weird Science.
sure.
Uh, and Terry Garr for After Hours.
Oh, Terry, she
He's
presented.
great.
Hmm.
I thought it was funny. I wrote down this. Angelica Houston wins her Oscar. She's the first one up, and then she just walks back to her seat. Did you notice that in the clip?
Some people have done that
It's
before,
very
and
funny.
yeah. Also, I found this Times profile of Oprah Winfrey, published March 4th, 1986. You just need to hear the headline because
Okay.
the profile itself is not important.
Okay.
The headline: Troubled Girl's Evolution into an Oscar Nominee.
Seems fine.
Yeah, totally fine. Yeah, that's it.
Screenplays went to Witness, original screenplay for Witness. Earl Wallace and William Kelly, story by William Kelly, Pamela Wallace, and Earl Wallace. So the Wallaces were a married couple. Worked on Gunsmoke, I believe, together. The other nominees: Back to the Future, Brazil, The Official Story, and Purple Rose of Cairo. Pretty
Really
great
cool
list of
that
nominees.
Back to the Future got in here.
Really great that it got in, and a great
Mhm.
list of nominees. And I'm glad Witness won, even though I think Back to the Future is like one of the great movies ever made.
Yeah, like this is, again, one of those the consolation prizes in screenplay.
Yep. This feels like very much so a consolation prize.
Yeah, like I don't think Woody was gonna win this. Like he won the Globe, but I just don't think he was like really like clearly they were not into Purple Rose of Cairo, so it's
Yeah.
just another throwaway nom for Woody.
Yep.
And obviously Back to the Future was not gonna win, and I don't think Brazil and Official Story. So this was just like a perfect lineup for Witness.
Yeah. And they were really psyched to win. It's very cute. I like their
Yeah.
speech actually. And then
Hmm.
Out of Africa wins for adapted screenplay. The other nominees are Color Purple, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Preetzi's Honor, and The Trip to Bountiful.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just not a movie. I don't think it won basically by default, I guess.
Yeah, like they were like voting down the ballot, I guess. So it's I mean, I don't know what I don't know what I would give it to of the other nominees.
Nothing's great.
They're all fine.
So
So
I want to
it's
go to music because I was like, I don't know how many of these are eligible, Joyce, but I wrote down like 100, not 100, but like 20 songs that I was like, would they have gotten in? Like, so Say You Say Me wins from White Nights for Lionel Richie, one of
mhm.
two nominees he had, two nominations he had in the category. Classic song, could still hear it and sing it probably. Miss Sally's Blues for Color Purple, The Power of Love for Back to the Future. I mean, all time. Separate Lives from White Nights, classic, and Surprise Surprise from A Chorus Line. But these are
Unnecessary, but
some of the
sure.
songs I wrote down, and I'm not sure any of these are. I'm not sure how many of these are eligible. That's another thing. But I was like, "Don't You Forget About Me" by Simple Minds. That has to be eligible, right? It's an original song for the movie, isn't it?
Um, is it?
I think it is.
Did they? I don't know.
Spies Like Us, Paul McCartney.
I think it is. Yeah.
St. Elmo's Fire, definitely eligible. Man in Motion by
Mhm.
John Parr. Back in Time, Huey Lewis and the News from Back to the Future. Into the Groove by Madonna for Desperately Seeking Susan, I think would be like a tweener, but she did actually do it for the movie. Though I think she didn't necessarily release it on the soundtrack. Weird Science by Oingo Boingo for Weird Science. The Goonies Are Good Enough, Cyndi Lauper. Living in America by James Brown for Rocky 4. Unclear again if that one's eligible because I know it was also released later on a James Brown album, but I think it came for Rocky 4 first. Invincible by Pat Benatar for Billie Jean, and A View to Kill by Duran Duran for A View to Kill. Many of these are actually eligible and they're original songs. That's like a crazy lineup. Those are classic songs.
There are a lot of good songs from movies this year.
Oh my God.
Like we also have like We Don't Need Another Hero from
Yes.
Mad Max.
Yes. Classics.
So I think that got a Globe nomination. But yeah, like what was okay, I don't think we needed to do Miss Celie's Blues or Surprise Surprise.
Clearly, both should have gotten punted out. I don't know
Yeah.
why. The funny thing is that, like we said, like they clearly didn't like Color Purple, but still filler nomming Color Purple here. Like I don't even understand it. Like,
So I have an article here published March 18th, and the headline is Big Studio Advantage on the Oscars.
okay,
So The Shooting Party, Weatherby, Smooth Talk, and Dance with a Stranger have several things in common. They are art films. They were made outside of the Hollywood establishment. They got glowing reviews, and they failed to get a single Academy Award nomination this year. Their absence from the Oscar candidates list illustrates the fact that the Academy Awards presentation, at which Hollywood will be patting itself on its back next Monday, is more than anything else a promotion of films from the big studios. As an example of how specialized films made outside big studios Hollywood are at a disadvantage, not one of those four movies won a place at the all-important weekend screenings run by the Academy, Writers Guild, and Screen Actors Guild. The key to Academy Awards nominations is getting your picture seen by as many of the 4,244 voting members of the Academy as possible, says Edward Roginski, Vice President of Marketing at Universal. The justification for the advertising campaigns to make people come see the picture. So this is about like art films, obviously, but I think it's like the same thing. It's just like what they were prioritizing.
Right. They're not going to pay. Yeah. I mean, that we still see that today.
Yeah, we still, Andrea Riseborough, people got mad, but it's the same stuff every year.
And since we love music, Out of Africa wins for score, John Barry.
It's a good score.
It is. The other nominees are Agnes of God for George De La Rue. And The Color Purple with 12 nominees. I've actually never seen this before, Joyce. I didn't even know. Did they change the rules after this to prevent this from happening?
No, I think they got like an exemption or something, or I could just be making that up. But there was like a thing about it, because he like Quincy basically just like delegated, obviously, like ghostwriters.
Yeah. You could tell when this is the Singing in the Rain reunion, and Gene Kelly's reading these off, and he's like fucking annoyed that he's got to read 15 names basically. Silverado, Bruce Broughton, and Witness from Maurice Jarre. It's again, Back to the Future not being in here, just like lunacy to me. One of the all-time great scores, an iconic theme that people would know immediately. Like, how is it not even nominated? That's what's so weird. Like, Back to the Future gets screenplay nomination, but not score and not effects. Like, I just don't even
I
understand.
mean, take it up with those
ones.
branches, okay.
But those are the obvious ones to be nominated for. Or like you said, editing. It would have been an easy editing one. But no, it's not. I don't know. The other thing I wrote down about the show, let me see. I had a really funny one. There was when I think it was for Cocoon, I think, which wins sound, one of the sound categories. And Ken Ralston in his speech goes, and I'd like to thank the man who I think in the future, the very near future, will be up here as a recipient, Ron Howard.
You mean visual effects?
It was visual effects. You're right. Sorry. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? He was right.
He was. He's a soothsayer right there. Not near future, but future. You know,
future. Yeah.
Soon enough. Other standing ovation was for Audrey Hepburn, who did costume design.
She looked beautiful.
Fantastic. We mentioned Bob Hope. This one I thought was a couple of ones. This was later. A documentary short subject. I actually forget who was presenting these.
Oh, it was Ali Sheedy and Steve Gutenberg. I love this banter. I actually wrote it down.
Read it then. It's good.
Ali Sheedy says, a lot of people don't just watch the Oscar show. They make a game out of trying to guess the winners. And then Steve goes, Doc's short subject is one of the toughest Oscar pools there is because for the most part, people haven't heard of or seen these movies. I'm like, Ali, guess what? Still doing this.
The other part that made me laugh is right at the end. I think she says films that deserve Oscars, or he says it's films.
Films that deserves Oscars deserve audiences.
Pretty good. I was like, they should actually promote that. They should bring that back as like a slogan.
Yeah, bring that back.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And Sally Field also presented twice because she did the honorary Oscar to Paul Newman,
who was not there because he was filming The Color of Money, for which he'll win a competitive Oscar the following year.
He is at this very moment in Chicago on the set of The Color Money, a sequel of sorts to The Hustler, and it's great. They satellite him in, and he's so charming, and it's just like, oh, now I'm gonna win an Oscar. See you guys. He won his honorary Oscar.
And he opens with a joke.
Oscar.
He thought it would come with a gift certificate to Forest Lawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Thank you, Sally, for doing this." The tech was pretty good. He says something that I thought was fun, which again, in fun in hindsight, because if he wins the next year, the hope is that my best work is down the pike and not in back of me. Well, Paul, good news, because it is.
Very, very close in front of you.
This is, again, a more presenter stuff I wrote down. If his appearance in the Police Academy of films are any indication, this next young actor doesn't count his lines when he's looking at the script. He counts how many noises he gets to make. It's hard to imagine a better choice to present the Oscar for sound effects than Michael Winslow. Remember Michael Winslow?
He did a great job.
Fantastic. So good. There was a lot of young actress. They also used the young actress for Irene Cara, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and John Cryer was there, and he prematurely opened the envelope.
I wrote this one down too because Robin Williams introduces him. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Cryer. John Cryer, you know who he is. Couldn't give a fuck. It's so good.
Robin also spent the entire ceremony just roasting Jack Valenti.
As he says, a man you've never heard of, but have to listen to him anyway.
It's great. Iconic stuff.
So good. He's really, separating the offensiveness of the accents from his material is
And
tough,
then
but
it
he's
was
very
also great
funny.
when he introduced his bestie Whoopi to
Really
present,
cool.
and like they do a little dance before she gets to the mic, and then she has a joke at the end, and he's just guffawing from backstage. It's
It's really
great.
funny, and I think she's presenting for Witness editing, right? Does she present best editing? I think for Witness,
I think so.
and he's not there because, like we said, I think the
Yeah,
Peter Weir team is making Mosquito Coast,
yeah.
and so she accepts, and she's like, I think he would probably thank his mom. She's like, I had to do it. It's like her acceptance speech, basically. Uh, and that's it. That's the show. And then I wrote this down, Joyce. At the end of the show, it ends. Obviously, we get the Out of Africa win tomorrow at 8/7 Central. Angela's new friend makes a play for Tony on Who's the Boss. Then cousin Balky has traveled halfway around the world to live with his American cousin Larry. Together, they're perfect strangers. Then it's a mystery when Maddie sees herself in a painting she never posed for in Moonlighting. And John Davidson guest stars as an evangelist who holds the key to a killing on Spencer for hire.
And you watched all of those.
Fantastic. What a great lineup. I was like,
You
these
just
sound great.
I miss this type of promo. They need to bring that back too.
That was a
Not
great
just
promo.
the commercial breaks. Promote ABC stuff.
Oh my God, it
So
was so
then
good.
obviously the postmortem from the ceremony was also is the Oscars racist?
Yes,
Because Color Purple went over
sure.
11.
Yes.
So this is in the LA Times,
Okay.
published March 27th. Headline: Academy hits racism accusation.
The Academy hits back.
Yeah, but that was the headline. It doesn't say back. I'm just reading what they printed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they were accused, obviously, of racism.
Obviously.
Yeah. So the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences on Wednesday disputed charges of a racially motivated Oscar shutout against The Color Purple. A local chapter of the NAACP filed a letter of protest Tuesday, labeling Monday night's Academy Awards as a slap in the face and an industry blackout. Quote, the practice was used in the past to hinder the success of projects involving Blacks, said Willis Edwards, president of the Hollywood Beverly Hills branch of the NAACP. In a letter to the Academy, it's a shame that such practices continue to exist in 1986 by so-called professionals. The Academy insisted that there was no racial bias in the Oscar voting. Quote, the Academy finds the NAACP charge a little surprising. The Color Purple is only one of a handful of films in the history of the Academy to receive the extraordinary total of 11 award nominations. The long string of nomination honors accorded on The Color Purple stands as an unanswerable proof of the high regard in which this picture is held by the more than 4,200 motion picture artists from all branches whose votes determine our awards. The Oscars were, quote, not politically motivated, Academy President Robert Wise told the United Press International. Many fine performances have not made it to the winner's circle, the director said. And then talk about the turning point, and then about Stevens' snub and the controversy. So, from the day of its release, Spielberg's adaptation of the Pulitzer Prize-winning Alice Walker novel sparked controversy. Feminists complained that it was sexist. While Purple is one of the few mainstream studio films in recent years to showcase a Black cast, the movie has received mixed reactions in the Black community. It is not clear at press time what position, if any, the NAACP has taken on the local protest, because the executive director was out of town and unavailable for comment. So,
Wow.
yeah. But
Not a lot. Definitely, the Academy playing dumb on its racial blind spots is classic. Certainly something we would see today, probably.
yeah, I mean, I think it's not, it's more complicated than just them like, or you accusing them of being racist. I think that's like the reductive way to look at it. But they obviously have a lot of race issues.
I think it's definitely. I agree with that. I was like, if the thing is like the Color Purple is like it shouldn't have to be based on like some of these winners. You know what I mean? Like I was like, it's definitely not a. It's the good. It's fine, right? It's like a
Yeah,
fine movie. and it would have been like a mid winner, just like out of Africa, but it should have been allowed to be maybe a mid win. Like it doesn't need to,
Yeah, because the thing is like
like
we're allowed to have mid
white
winners made by
people.
white people
Yeah,
starring black people. And it's like the whole model minority thing. It's like you
right,
need to be perfect
right,
for people to recognize you. And it's like, no, let us also be messy, right? It's like you let white people be messy.
right. Like
Like,
white people can make Out of Africa and have a win Best Picture,
yeah,
and
yeah.
a white person obviously did make Color Purple, but also with Quincy Jones producing, and so, like there's more.
Yeah, and
At
it's a
least
black story,
it's a
which
black
it
story, black
also
cast.
it's an industry problem because they don't produce enough type of films like this,
Right.
right? Or like starring people like this with these type of narratives.
If
So
we just, I mean, like I said, I think this version, the original adaptation of Color Purple is a bigger, much better version than the musical adaptation of Color Purple.
yeah.
But if this version of Color Purple had come out now with like a different director, maybe because if they probably would have been a black director, right, instead of like Steven Spielberg, they've talked about that on like the press tour and stuff. Like maybe Steven Spielberg would not have been the choice to have directed it, but at the time, like not a lot of who else would have maybe done it at the time. I don't know. Um, would it have won now? I don't think so.
As the same film, no, I don't
Right.
think so at
I don't think
all.
so.
Because like, again, like one of like the knocks against it was that it is, it's a kind of sexless too. Like, they're very tame on like the queerness and also like even the musical version is too.
That was the, I
Despite
mean,
despite like the promo being like, oh, we lean more into that relationship between Celie and Suge. I'm like, no, you didn't.
that was the
Like you
funniest part of the
understand more in
promo.
85 why it was sanitized, right?
Yeah, that was the funniest part of the promo. We talked around this a lot last year, but like, or this year, but it's like it's not much better than the original in terms of like the queer
No.
representation.
And then you shaft like all of Celie's feelings for Suge into dream sequences. Like it's not even
Strange,
reality.
strange choice.
Yeah. So I mean, like at least in Spielberg's version, like you still get that kiss and that scene is actually very sensual. Like then that's where you see like the intent with the camera,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
So there we go. That was the 1986 Oscars, Joyce, the 58th Annual Academy Awards. Like we said, terrible winners, but good show. I enjoyed watching it, but I just was like, this is not a great year. Next year, I'm thrilled because this is a great year, I think. A lot of good movies that weren't nominated, a great Best Picture winner, in my estimation, and some other good winners. So I like this year, the 1987
we
Oscars.
have Platoon,
Yes,
we have Paul,
yes.
we
And
have Hannah and her
Hannah and her
sisters, the double
sisters.
wins. We have still the youngest Best Actress winner ever.
And countless great movies. I'm so excited to dig into these movies. There's so many good ones this year. 86 is a good
Top
movie
Gun,
year. What was it?
Top Gun.
You know I'm going to be all about Top Gun.
Are you gonna rewatch Top Gun and then Top Gun?
Nah, I just watched it. I did rewatch Hannah and Her Sisters, and I was like, man, that is a great movie. And I had rewatched Platoon last year because The Ringer did you listen to that? The Ringer did that like Vietnam
No.
War mini podcast that was really good. And it was all about like movies like Platoon and stuff. And I was like, man, Platoon is great. It's such a miserable watch. He really nails the idea of how bad war is. So it feels like way right, exactly right.
Great Willem Dafoe performance.
Fantastic. Fantastic, really good. Just a great film. So I'm excited to talk about this one. And then I have a feeling, if I remember correctly, the show is a calamity because the hosts are Chevy Chase, Goldie Hawn, and Crocodile Dundee himself, Paul Hogan.
Yeah, another trio of actors.
Not as successful. I'm going to just say is this one. Hot take.
And it was
So
produced by Samuel Goldwyn Jr. So
yes,
Stanley gone.
one out. It's I love they do this when there's a good show. They always get rid of the producer the next year. It's like when we did the Hugh Jackman year. That guy was who produced that year? It was Bill Condon,
Hmm.
and then gone the next year, right?
Yeah, and they keep trying to like because they want to attract the youths, which is this is not how you attract them by just like
No.
changing producers. Like no one cares who's producing the show.
But it is very funny to me that they have
And
a
that
history of like when the show is good, they immediately are like, "Whoa, we can't have that guy
I
do
mean,
it
and like to
again."
be fair, some of these people may just be like, I don't want to come back
Maybe,
because this was way
maybe,
too much work. I mean, that's fine. But yeah, it's like you kind of want to establish like a consistent tone
yeah.
too. So, you know.
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll talk then, Joyce. All right, bye.